Hello and welcome to Mapping It Out. My name is Guy and I will be your journey master as we continue our behind the screens dev diary exploration of exactly what's going into making this project come alive. Project DEIOS, of course. If you don't know what that's about and you just happen to stumble across the stream, it's going to be the final word in map making. Seriously, it really is. It's going to be able to do absolutely everything, and I'm super excited to be here tonight to talk about exactly what's going on. And we've got some interesting new guests on the show today. We're looking at what happened during the month of November in the Dungeon Fog offices in Vienna, as well as getting a sneak peek at just what the program might look like in the near future. So lots of exciting things tonight. Now, of course, please, this show is all about interacting with you. We're going to have some guests on who know their stuff. So if you have questions, please drop those questions into the chat, whether you're on Twitch or on YouTube. It doesn't matter. I'll be monitoring both of them. Just put the word question in front of your question in caps lock so that I can see it nice and clearly. And I will ask it of our respective guests so that they can give us the answers live, which I think is what this whole thing is all about. Now, today we're going to be looking at UX, that's user experience, and all of the intricacies that go into unpacking exactly what that is. We're going to look at the major workshop that took place towards the beginning of the month in November, really kind of kick-starting, if you will, Project DEIOS as a full-fledged production. We're going to look at the trials, traumas, and deaths that occurred during that event, so stay with us for that one. It's definitely not to be missed. And then finally we're going to catch up with the one of the co-founders and the director of the company, Till, as he takes us through the sneak peek of the UI as it's kind of being developed. So lots of stuff going on there. Let's jump straight into it. I've got my first guest standing by, and he is definitely a newcomer. We haven't seen him before on the show, so it gives me great pleasure to welcome into the studio here at Mapping It Out, Boaty Kiss. How are you doing this evening, sir?
Hello. Thanks. And how are you doing? I'm fine.
I'm
quite
great.
excited for today.
It's very exciting, very excited. Boaty, tell us a little bit about user. Well, no, hang on. Let's stop. What do you do? Let's put it that way. What do you do?
Well, that's a tough question. I originally was here to do user experience design and making the app look and feel great. I mean, by the app, I mean, of course, DEIOS, but I do some other work too. I help out with project management, but my main focus is still the UX and the visuals.
I see. What's your background?
It's green.
and your career background?
I know. Kidding aside, well, I'm in the software industry for about 10 years. I started doing university, doing freelance jobs, and ended up in agencies where I quickly became proficient in user experience. And yeah, my main focus there was doing mobile interfaces and big corporate web applications.
Okay, I see. So you've been there, you've done that. Mobile, of course, is very different from, say, desktop, because you've got lots more screen space and that sort of thing. What is user experience? Tell us about that. What does that mean?
Well, I still don't know if it's easier or hard to answer. I get the question a lot of times. So, well, how should I answer that one? I mean, imagine a cup. Just take a cup, and the use case of this cup is to drink something out of it, isn't it? So that's the reason why we have cups, and we can paint them nicely. So we have a nice cup, and it looks great. But where's the experience in there, I ask you? So imagine pouring hot water or tea in it and drink it. So is it still comfortable to drink out of this cup? Maybe not. Maybe you add a handle and it doesn't look better, but it's quite more better to use with hot drinks. I mean, think you
Okay.
understand?
Yes. Okay. 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 How does that then apply to software?
Well, it's quite the same metaphor, but far more refined and far more, I wouldn't say complicated, but you have to find the small things and build up from them. So there's not the one thing I can tell you to do better in UX, but there are a lot of small things you need to find and build up on them. Yes.
I see. Would you go in and say, for example, add components to the software to make it work better
Yes.
from a UX perspective? So you're going in and
Well,
suggesting add this, add that.
well, there are multiple ways to tackle that one. I mean, creating new concepts or features or however you call it is a requirement. So somebody says, hey guys, I want to make biomes. And my job now is to get in there and to look into the software side or in the design side, how we can make creating biomes simpler or the simplest way for the user.
Aha. Okay. 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 I like that. Now, what do people often miss when they think about user experience?
Whew. Oh, another tough one. I mean, I want to answer that to you from two sides, from two perspectives. One are the stakeholders who are try to make an app, and the other ones are the actual users who are using it. So from the stakeholder side, I'm quite sure. So who are the stakeholders? Of course, these are the people who want to make the software or make the product. And those often believe that making good user experience does increase some KPIs for some controlling stuff, or I mean, it's something like good UX increases the conversion rate, or good UX makes better sales. And yeah, I don't believe in that. So user experience is about to create an experience, to create immersion, to give the user a good feeling to how to use and create stuff with the software.
Interesting. Okay.
And the other part is the user itself. So what is good user experience for the user? I mean, it's super simple. Good user experience is when the user doesn't notice anything about good user experience, or doesn't notice anything and is fully immersed in the app and can do his creative work.
There we go. I like that. It's an interesting one that you mention in terms of you don't think that UX has a KPI, which is key performance index, in terms of or indicator. In terms of sales, do you think bad UX is going to drive people away?
It will drive people away if there is a better option.
Aha! I was about to say, because I know of several map making software programs, which I won't mention by name, but where the user interface and the user experience is very, I kind of want to say, contrary to what you'd expect. It's like, well, there should be a button that does that, but there isn't. Oh, how do I do this?
That's exactly the point. I mean, you notice bad, I do it on quotation marks, a bad user experience when you are mad working with it.
Right.
That's simple.
There we go. There we go. I do like that. So, would you say that then DEIOS is a difficult UX to produce?
Oh, you got me there. It strongly depends how you think about difficulties. I mean, it's always a question about the approach. And I used to work a lot of design processes. So I don't just simply sit there and create and look at it and say that's the way how it is. By that I mean doing a process and unroll a process. Well, well, I just forgot what I wanted to say.
That's okay.
uh,
So,
um,
is it
yeah,
difficult
continue.
because DEIOS has so many different layers? Does that mean we're looking at lots of
No,
different
it's
type?
it's not
Or
about the layers or anything inside the app. It's more like we start. I mentioned earlier that we take the small things and start to build up from that. So we don't look at the whole software from the beginning, but rather follow this process. Now I'm back on the track. I follow the process from starting with the small steps and build up on them, and don't take the whole software all in whole and do everything from the start. Just take the first features and build up on them. Take the next features and build up on them. So I don't we don't take every tools and look how we can integrate everything at the same time, but rather take the first tool, build up on it, and then take the next one and make it better, and so on and so forth.
okay, that starts to make a bit more sense. And I suppose that also makes it manageable as well. Is
It
that sort
is
of thing.
indeed.
You've got some people, some fan people saying, Isaac A. Thorne says, hello, Boaty.
Hello.
Babunski says, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Just looking at the chat here. And YouTube apparently, they just don't want to say anything to us. They're not talking, which is absolutely fine. So, okay, so it is about sort of bits and pieces, little bits and pieces. What's the difference between then user experience and user interface? Because they are linked, but they're also quite different.
Yes, they are. I mentioned earlier the sample with the mug. So I can take this mug and paint it, and that's the interface. That's how it looks like. I can make a great painting, or I can even color the whole mug in a certain color I like. So I have the visual interface. But that doesn't help if I pour something hot in it. So I need to tackle that too, and that's more like the experience. So people will drink a tea more from a cup if it has a handle rather than it has not.
There we go. Makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense to me. What's exciting about working on the UX for DEIOS?
Oh, there's a lot of exciting parts. First, for me, it's my first project, which is truly mine, or rather ours, and it's not an agency work for a client. So that's a big thing I really like about it. And I can take my time. And by that I mean I can test, I can take a look at the different use cases and create user flows and really think about how the user would use it and how I can improve it.
There we go. Okay.
And one important, well, I forgot to mention it, that's software I use myself. And I want to use myself in future too, because I'm doing a lot of dungeon mastering too, and I'm super excited to have it out there.
Well, there we go. I think it's almost like a dream job, isn't it, in terms of
It
working on
is,
something
yes.
that's really going to shape, I think, the entire community and the entire space. So I do like that. And you guys were tasked at the beginning of the month. There was a very critical meeting that took place, took
Oh, it
over
was.
the whole week. You started a process there in terms of identifying the UX and that sort of thing by creating personas. Just tell us what that was
Yes.
about a little bit.
What is a persona? That's a great question. I mentioned earlier the design process, and creating personas is a part of the design process. Imagine a persona like a super simple character sheet you use in Dungeons and Dragons or whatever. So you write their name, draw a little image, and describe a user you would think of using the software. So you create empathy to the user and understand how he would work with the software. Yeah, based on that, it's easier to go into discussion. I can't spell the word, about certain features or certain new things you want to have in the software and have a basis to argue.
I see. So give us an example of one of the personas that you created for this process, if you can. I don't. Are they secret?
I don't have them in mind, unfortunately. But one of the personas was the classic last minute game master. I can't tell you the name, but I mean the classic game master is the one who has his game session on the next day, and at the night before the game he has the great idea to come up with a map, and making last minute maps. And one thing we can tackle with that is to have a big library like the public library right now in Dengenfag, where the game master could take a ready and public map as base and just build up on it instead of building the whole new map from the beginning.
So the user experience then would be centered around sort of quick access, quick tools, and that kind of thing.
Yes. Also, that's one small part of the whole picture.
I see. So in chat they're saying, okay, great. So since you're on board, we're going to have full release in January then, really. I mean, it's kind of, we know what it's going to look like. We've got personas. It's just, we're down.
So, no! I think you hear Till already screaming. I don't think there will be full release, but I think we will deliver you some things you will like.
There we go. Yeah, absolutely. We're going to have a little bit of a look at that a little bit later on. I see Sergeant Gaming is shouting, was that Till? Yes, absolutely. Healy FR says, well, okay then. February was the new deadline. If January is no good, I think everyone's just super excited. Boaty, thank you for sharing a little bit of insight into the UX process. I'm sure we're going to catch up with you again later on. If not this year, then definitely next year. Yeah, as we learn more about this kind of stuff, because I assume that the road is now quite a long one for you ahead.
Yes,
in terms of the experience. I mean, because not all of the tools are even ready yet.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So we need to come up with all tools. I mean, we know what tools we are going to provide, but we need a concept behind them. So I happily look into the future.
There we go. Lovely. Okay, well, stick around. I think you're going to join us a little bit later on. But for now, we're going to have a look at this chaos that took place over the week, I should say, in the offices in Vienna. So let's have a look at that. It's the 4th of November, 2019. POG offices in Vienna, Austria, are about to host a full week of chaos and mayhem. Company director and co-founder Till Lammer has summoned the members of the company to a week of corporate alignment, coding, and killing. Launching into it, new members of the company were introduced to Dungeon Fog in its current state and required to design their own 5-room dungeon. None of them succeeded. Jan Toth was brought in from Bratislava, Jonas Rinne from Graz, and local Baton Kiss arrived to round out the new team. Understanding the current product offerings was critical to moving forward for Project DEIOS. Tuesday, the team split into 2 groups. Andy, Herbert, Jonas, and Jan began a 2-day coding marathon, attempting to overcome the intricate process of rendering a website on a graphics card processor rather than online. This would allow Project DEIOS to exist in 2 states, online and offline as a desktop installation. Till and Boaty began a different journey, delving into the world of UX, user experience. In true gamer style, they decided to create characters instead. It is now the end of Wednesday the 6th. Both teams are running out of time. But there is one more thing to do. Create RPG characters. Thursday night is designated D&D night. Tension is high, as some of the designers have never played D&D. Thursday, 7th of November. The team is ready to present their findings from their 2-day workshops. Passion follows function, and by 3 p.m., it's over. Success. Both groups have resolved their initial issues, both have come together, and Project DEIOS looks stronger than ever before. It's time to kill things. The Dungeons & Dragons game, GM'd by Till, runs late into the night. Very late. Newcomers to the game get into the entire process. 3 a.m. and the dice are still rolling.
Please roll a dex saving throw.
What a weekend it was. I'm joined by Till now as well as Boaty, and we're going to start unpacking that weekend. Till, thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Hi you all.
Everyone in chat is chatting. It's Hele from France has to leave. Well, yeah, we'll catch you on the VOD. Babunski says awesome coding and killing it, loving it. And Sergeant Gaming says what the well, I won't finish that sentence. Anyway, it looks like it was an absolutely awesome week. Till, just in a nutshell, how did it go for you guys?
Well, it was, as you just said, it was an awesome week. So the idea behind the onboarding workshop was that we brought all the developers and all the people that are now working on DEIOS, that we were now able to hire to work on DEIOS, thanks to you as our supporters. We all brought them in here to meet them in person, to do a little team building, to learn to know each other. And also to kind of indoctrinate them with the idea behind Dungeon Fog and DEIOS. So it was, it's, even though you did a great job on the video, and it's a beautiful video, it still couldn't catch all the energy that was in this office for this week. It was just absolutely mind-blowing. I was so happy. And we had a little workshop, as you've seen in the video. We had a 2-day workshop where the two teams, like the UX UI team and the development team, did a little exercise. So we had something that we could show each other at the end of the workshop, and that was fun too. And also I had the opportunity to play D&D with all of them, which, as kind of part of a job, is really awesome.
I was about to ask, is that kind of part of the CV? It's like, how many years experience have you had as a player, and what's your favorite character?
Yeah, well, I can answer that. Yes, he really asked that.
Yeah, I did.
Well, there we go. That workshop looks like it was a great idea. Glad it went well, says Babunski. We're absolutely ecstatic that it went well as well. It spoke about success, Till. What were the successes of? I mean, obviously there was the team building component to it, but during that workshop, what was the success?
So we asked the development team to do a little exercise together, where they sat down for 2 days and started coding, while Thomas, Bodhi, and I sat down and did the mentioned personas, a little workflow analysis, and also a little bit of user interface design as a warm-up. So keep in mind, we just had 2 days, so we tried to keep everything short and simple. But the successes from the development team were basically that they were able to pull up a desktop application that you can launch, that you can open in Windows, Mac, and Linux. That was able to render a website through the 3D rendering of the graphics card instead of the regular rendering of a website. So they were able to affect, through the 3D rendering, they were able to affect the colorization, the saturation of the full website as part of the graphics card and not part of the basic Chromium render engine. So that was, although it was a lot of code, and then click, something opens, shows a website and changes its colors, it was still impressive because they did it in, well, 1.5 days when you think about the time where they did concept as well. Bodhi and I had the opportunity to start with the, I don't know, how are we calling it, dashboard or launcher?
Let's call it dashboard for now.
The launch screen, which is the dashboard. and we had the opportunity to sit down, mostly look at the general structure, how do we want to approach that, and also the new, let's say, the new direction for our color coding, because we want to experiment a little bit with new colors and a new design, obviously. So we had the opportunity to do there some first steps into that direction.
I'm just going to stop you there. When you start talking about new colors, you mean as in for the dashboard or for the just
generally? I mean, we're not going to change our lead color, which is the Dungeon Fog orange, but I think it's a good time to think about color adjustments, like design. That's just technical design, and introduce a new look and feel to the software once it's coming out. So yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Now, Bosie, there's mention, of course, of Windows and Mac and Linux. Does that affect the user experience? Do you have to sort of think about 3 different platforms at the same time?
To some extent, yes. I think Bodhi is the one who can answer that.
Well, thanks. Yeah, you're right. For some extent, but the simple thing about it is that we are reusing things from the different operating systems, what the people on that systems already have learned. So we don't reinvent the Windows system. We don't replace buttons with totally custom ones, but we try to create a system that is close in itself, but fits into the operating systems.
Okay, that's fantastic. I see. There's a question, or not a question. There's a comment here from Sergeant Gaming saying, looking at the resume, it's like, your real life stats are through the roof, but you haven't played D&D. Sorry, we're not hiring you. No. Just in terms of the employment process, sort of unpacking. It's like, yeah, you're really skilled. You've got lots of degrees and stuff, but you can't play D&D, so you can't join our company. It's probably a good approach. Okay, so yeah. All right, let's then. You guys were developing personas and things. I know we briefly chatted about it, Bosie. What do you think are perhaps 3 different types of user for Project DEIOS? Either.
I will answer that. So we identified, I mean, in the process of reviewing that, we already came up with 2 more personas, but for the workshop, we came up with 3 different personas where we think that they are part of our focus group that we want to address. So the first one is obviously a game master who is interested in creating his own worlds. But there's also the story writer, someone who's probably not playing on the maps, but is creating those maps for their worlds, their stories, probably as a reference for the stories that are written. And we also know that there are people who are possibly story writers, possibly players or game masters, but who really are into creating worlds just for the beauty of creating worlds. So we identified those 3 types as the game master, the story writer, and the world builder. Now we know that they kind of all mix and match to some degree, but we used that, those templates, you could say, to identify the different needs, the different approaches.
Interesting. Okay, so you were then talking about a dashboard. What would that be? Where does that sit?
So right now we have a website. So when you log into Dungeon Fog, you go onto what we call the platform, where you can organize and manage your maps, and I think that's it. Like, that's where you go. But when you're looking at the software, you want to have a place where everything comes down at the first screen. So it's technically, that's why I said the launch screen. It's when you bring up the application, you should see something first. So what is that? What is the core need when you start the application? Obviously, one of the core needs is you want to draw a map. But do you want to start with a map, or do you want to refine a map that you have already started? Do you want to see what's new? Do you want to see what others have done? So taking all those needs and meshing them together is where we started to create a user experience for the dashboard, and out of that, then the first user interface.
Do you see those dashboards as being almost customizable? I'm a GM, so I don't care what world builders are doing. I want to be able to just make maps, or I'm the panic GM, in which case I just want the random button right there and some variable. I mean, is that what we're looking at, or is that?
So I would like to answer that with a yes, but I can kind of feel Andy whipping me from behind if I would answer that with a yes. So probably it's not about we're not focusing on the customization of the dashboard so that you can align widgets to where you like what. There's going to be space later down the road to add something like that. But we've created, and you're going to see that later because I think we're going to show some of the screens.
Absolutely,
today.
Yeah.
But you will see that we've created distinct areas where information are, and it might be easy to do, and it might be something that we tackle that you can switch and align those information segments to your needs.
Shall we show everybody what we've been talking about? All right, let's. You're going to talk us through that. Some people saying it's Troll Lord Games says, "Oh, it's a very nice idea in terms of the dashboard." Yes, says Sergeant Gaming. Finally, YouTube has got us a question as well. So before we reveal, we're going to go to the questions. So don't blame the person asking the question. Blame my excitement for getting a question from YouTube. Matthias Rietbauer, forgive my pronunciation. So will there be an offline version of Project DEIOS? I just started using Dungeon Fog and had the problem that my internet is not the best in the world. Greetings from Braunau, Austria. Braunau,
Yes.
Braunau, Austria.
Hi there.
So the answer is yeah. Yes. One of the major benefits of doing a desktop software means that we can do it offline as well. So obviously you will need internet connection if you want to synchronize your maps to the cloud, or if you want to share maps with others, if you want to collaborate on them, or if you want to download new stuff from the marketplace. But as long as you're really working on the map, you don't need an internet connection, and there will be a toggle on offline where you can really work offline with your desktop application.
Fantastic. Okay, right. So there we go. No follow-ups to that one. So let's show people. I'm going to try and walk you. I will run this. You tell me when go next slide. Just shout next slide. So this is. Oh dear, you're being cut off. Let me just hang on. Just give me a second here. Let me get you guys back into the picture here. I wasn't sure how you were going to fit. So there we go. Right, so we've got you back there. Okay, so what is this? What are we seeing here? This
is obviously the dashboard. So when you bring up the application, we are going to ask you to identify, to log in at some point. But once you have identified yourself and the application launches, this is where you end up. This is your dashboard. So this is the launch pad from where you start doing stuff. And as you can see, we have the create button where you start creating new content. We have the library where you organize all your content, which means that we are going to bring the maps you're creating, the asset packs you have through Dungeon Fog, or the asset packs that you have through your personal custom upload. All that stuff is going to be organized in your library. And then you have the marketplace, which will be there eventually, where you can buy new stuff. If you're a subscriber and you have an active subscription, that means that a lot of the stuff in the marketplace will be just free download for you. In the centerpiece, you have the, let's call it the news slider, where you can see videos that we are releasing, like tutorial videos or teaser videos for something new that's coming up. you will get information of the stuff that you might need, like a new asset pack that's coming out, or possibly a new map that has been shared that you are following. And at the bottom, you can see the recent maps that you have created. So you will always have the opportunity to just go back into the latest map that you have created. And as you see here, we have been experimenting with a new color scheme. So I really like, my wife is going to laugh horrendously at me because she says I'm always into blues. But I really like blue colors, and we've been experimenting with something that is kind of the opposite of that yellow. So the complementary color. That turned out pretty well. So we've been playing around with that.
That's absolutely lovely. Yeah, I think so. I think that's brilliant. Now, just unpacking this, I mean, you always get those things where people say, "Oh, look at all the Easter eggs! Look at all the things that we can find in this one frame. We're going to scour it for all of the hidden information." Immediately, I see right at the bottom it says version 0.1.alpha.1. It's like it doesn't get fresher than that. This really is the first iteration. But again, when we see create, you've got battle map, you've got city, you've got world, and you've got space. I'm not sure how clearly that is coming across in terms of the stream. So those are our 4 spaces that we're looking at. And will it?
I think so, yes. It was rather obvious from the start. Sorry, if you want to answer.
Just keep going.
It was rather obvious from the start that battle map and world map are going to be different. So you're going to go into a battle map with a different expectation than you're going into a world map. And we tried to understand what other expectations there might be. So creating a city map has a totally different zoom level than creating a regional world map. And space also, again, is a completely different approach. So we said those 4 might give you a good start to know where you start from in terms of scaling, in terms of the palette of tools that you would like to use. Bodhi.
Okay. On top of that, of course, 2 things. First, this is just a mock-up or rather than a concept design. That means this yet. So we are going to improve when the time comes. So we're going to see what will happen. And the other thing is, it might be a little bit misleading by seeing these 4 types there. That doesn't say that if you're inside only can do one thing. This is just look like a template. So if you select making a battle map, then you get into an editor where you more likely to do battle map things. But we intend to do in the editor itself a way to switch between different modes. So if you are in the map editing process, you can switch back and forth through the different styles of editing.
Sure. Yeah. I think we're going to get there.
Absolutely. Shall we go into the next slide? Or did I skip a slide? Hang on a moment. Let's see where we are.
Yeah, that's fine. It's like
this is
just a context menu that you can see that you can do more. We were trying to, with ideas, what are the first intents that you do, like edit maps or play on those maps, and there are a lot of more options hidden in the context menu. So we're going to play around with that. And feedback, we can get your vibes and interpret that and change that if needed.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's see. What's the next slide here? This is the
that's just creating a new map will always ask you to find a map that you would like to create. We would like to go away where it's simple for you to name the map, give it a short description word, and then jump into it. And if you want to just can toggle to the screen and then have a go on all the detailed settings that you might want to manually adjust for your map.
Okay. Let's go to the next one then. That's the editor new design. Now there's something coming up next which is super exciting. When I saw it in the presentation I was like, oh, this is nice. This is nice. Here we go. This is the first one. What is this? What is this?
So, ta-da! Well, first of all, this is a first mock-up. So this is literally the first approach that we took on the new interface for the editor. And I think what excites me about that is that we try to use the spacing a lot more efficient than we are currently doing in the Dungeon Fog editor. We have this mini map where you can always see the zoom level, and we're calling this the toolbar side, and the utility bar is where stuff is that is just utility levels, the layers, the mini map, possibly other things there. And on the other side, your toolbar, where all the tools and their settings, their adjustment level are. And what's important to see, because Bodhi has been leading this up, was bottom. You can see that we created, let's call them workspaces, while still staying on the same editor. And as important means that while you're working on a city map, you can switch into the workspace for the region maps and add biomes from there as well. Good if you could create some tools and use it on your city map or your region.
I see, okay.
Not in separate workspaces, like you're not in separate toolkit something, but you can switch the tool palettes based on the work currently working in, remaining in the editor.
That's fantastic. Till there's a little bit of digital breakup that's happening. So just to reiterate, and just correct me if I get this wrong, but as you say, in the bottom right-hand corner, we can see there's the editor schemes for world map, space, city, and the like. And as you were saying, we can switch between those without actually changing editors. We remain within the frame that we're in. We just might access different tools and things that come from that. I think that's brilliant. I really do like the layout. It's very, very clean, as you say. I noticed that top taskbar is a lot cleaner. Was that a conscious choice, Boaty? Is that something? Have we lost? We're kind of just getting moments.
Yes.
That's a grin that says yes. Yes, it was a conscious decision. Are you guys there? Have we lost you?
Hello, 1, 2, 3.
There we go. You're kind of back. Let's see if it holds. So Boaty, was it? No.
What
I
happened?
think.
No? Oh no.
Yeah. Was that a conscious decision?
Are we back?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh great. It was a conversion. I mean, you're using Dungeon Fog yourself, and I believe you have been feeling for too important at what.
Oh no, I think we've lost you
that's-
again. We've lost you again.
What's it?
Yeah. All right. Well, there's so much going on here.
Oh no.
Someone in the office must be. Oh, there they go. There they go. Yep. So it's just me now, and they're there, but they're not there. No. Okay. Well, I think what we're going to do is, this is such an exciting space, and it's so it can be so frustrating not being able to hear them properly because they've got such good information that they're giving us. I think we're going to try and put this into a little video for you guys. So we'll put it up onto YouTube, come back and find it, where we can unpack this fully for you. We are nearly at the end of the time that we normally would run through, but I think it's safe to say, let me just quickly jump to the chat. I'm not the only one who's experiencing that Yeah, they have become ghosts. It's all over the place. So we'll put it together in a video for you so that you can definitely see what's going on there. Lots of interesting questions coming through. Will it be able to zoom all the way through from one map to the next map to the next map, from one scale to the other? I think the answer is yes, Espen Johansen, but we'll double check on that. I'm just busy watching the feed from Till and Boaty. It does not look like it's stabilizing, unfortunately. It does seem to be all over the place. So we'll put that together for you into a video, definitely, so that you can have a look at the rest of these things. I'm not going to go through the rest of the slides. The rest of the slides were basically just unpacking that UI. We'll make sure that it's put together in a video for you, and then you can have a look at that, hopefully by next week. That's going to bring us to the end of today's show. It's safer to let the professionals answer questions than to let me answer the questions. Because my answer would be yes, it's going to be available next week, because that's when I would like it, of course, which I think is a sentiment shared by all of us. Let me just kill his audio there so we don't get any nonsense from the background. Anyway, thank you all for joining us on this show today. I hope you got a bit of insight into the design process and the fact that we can see things are moving forward at a rapid pace. That workshop really being very successful. And yes, we will be back on the 17th of December. That will be our next video broadcast where you can come with your questions and things. We will, same time, same channel. You know where to find us. Watch your Discord, your Facebook, your Twitter, and all that kind of stuff for announcements should anything change. But yeah, we'll take you through the user interface of this new dashboard in a separate video, which will come out hopefully by the end of next week, so watch out for that. Until then, however, I wish you and yours the very happiest of map making.